No t-shirts today. It's cold and wet and fucking miserable and just English. Um, I need new music. So in a way, this is a call for help. I remember when I was in my, I guess, 20s, you'd sort of think I'm never going to be one of those guys who is out of touch with current music. Um, and now that's me. Um, Weird musical history for me, somewhat sheltered, I guess. Went from ABBA to Queen, found Guns N' Roses, and then, um, okay, I was born in 1974, so obviously the world was different. Through that time, I was aware of music in the 80s, but mostly pop stuff, whatever was mainstream and on TV. And then I went to the States briefly when I finished school, and I heard Rage Against the Machine, and all of a sudden my world went. And the stuff that was around at the time, the stuff that I got massively into was Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden. Also later found Radiohead and Muse. Stuff kind of leading on from that, Chris Cornell, Audioslave, Kings of the Stone Age, all, I guess, much of a muchness, different bands, but much of a muchness. Random bits that came along. Also, I was aware when I went travelling, and I found Jack Johnson, and in the interim, also stuff like Zeppelin, Hendrix, Skynyrd, all of the sort of, I guess in a way, white guitar staples. I mean, Jimmy aside, but that's another discussion. I also found blues and country music through friends, whatever, just travel and those kinds of things. But mostly, and what I do now is I play acoustic songs from that back catalogue, or I do acoustic versions of songs from that catalogue. So much of that is to do with, obviously, age, nostalgia, the fact that I have not got the time and headspace to lie on the sofa and listen to music, or there's the change now where you don't buy an album and then read the inlay, the stuff, and then listen to it over and over, getting stoned and listening to an album 3 times over. You get into it and you learn it, you lean into it. I do so much less of that now. I wish I could do more. It's mostly when I drive or walk and I listen to music. So there was then a big pause, I guess, around early 2000s. I disappeared from the world of music, and then reappeared somewhere later, but never really plugged back in. So there's current stuff that I listen to, which I'll come to in a bit. Before we do that, let's take an acoustic version of something from the back catalogue. Clue, a band already mentioned, and I'll do a name that tune. See if you can name this song. And I'm also doing an acoustic or a sonic experiment today. I'm just wondering if the sound works better if I'm through an amp, because I realise it sounds sort of a bit tinny, I guess. Maybe that's partly my playing, partly my guitar, but name that tune. Was that right? I think it was. So then, current bands, I found music mostly by chance. I mean, I have a 10-year-old daughter, which means, of course, I've discovered Sabrina Carpenter and Taylor Swift. She's also into a Japanese band called Hana. I'm aware of people like Ray, obviously amazing, but not the kind of music I would listen to. I'm aware of Ren, also amazing, stuff that I really like or admire but wouldn't listen to. Current people, Molly Tuttle and Billy Strings. I found bluegrass partly through the guitar stuff. Tom Emmanuel, because once you fall into the acoustic pit, you can't miss him in a way. New bands who I listen to, or current bands who I listen to, I don't know how I found them, but I found Wolf Alice, and their new album is such earworms. Listen to it a lot. Listen to it kind of on repeat actually for about a week or two. Larkin Poe I went to see. Again, I found them totally by chance about 2-3 years ago, and then went to see them a couple of weeks ago. Actually, just phenomenal in concert. And not really in my normal wheelhouse. I guess there's a connection to Skinner, but it's also bluesy, also country. So I guess there are connections there. And there's The Last Dinner Party, who I think I saw them on Jules Holland, and I can listen to them, and they are an amazing band. There's this kind of amazing combination of theatre and kind of orchestral stuff, but they're also kick-ass. And also Nova Twins are just unreal as a band. The level of energy that those two have and what they bring is awesome. So here's the question. You know the music I'm into. I guess it's metal-y, acoustic-y, but pretty broad, also pretty white, sadly. Who should I listen to? Give me bands to listen to, stuff to play that somehow taps into what I might like. And I'm going to do a pop cover on acoustic, which sounds kind of country-ish when you do it like this. But anyway, number two, name that tune. Doesn't go like that. Doesn't go like that either. One of the catchiest songs of all time, and somewhat annoying, but also somehow not. Can you name that tune? Also, if you like this or if you hate it, either way, and you want to keep watching, do like, dislike, I guess, subscribe or comment. Cheers.